I guess let them indoors. Probably half, but I don't know, I look too trucker. Anywho, hello. It is February, guys, and let me tell you, so you obviously wouldn't know this because there's never been a February on this channel before, but February is my favourite month of the year for reading. Every year for, I think we're gonna be coming up on 10 years now. I think this is the 10-year anniversary. I'm pretty sure the first February I did this was 2016. Damn, that's crazy. I just realised that. I genuinely just realised I'm gonna need a second. Damn. Anywho, basically what I do every February is I choose 14 books and I read 14 books in the month of February. Why? I'm not 100% sure. I know why it's 14 books. Basically, I had this book series I loved when I was a child and there were 14 books in it. And I have never actually read that book series during the February because the first year, well, I was like 10 years old. So I just went kind of with easy books. Like I read the first Harry Potter. I read some Star Girl Academy, which like really short, just kids books. I've since made it more regulated. Why February? I don't know. Maybe it's the 28 days of it all made it seem very clean. Just organized, 28 days, that's 4 weeks exactly. It's perfect. But yeah, so since I have put in place like rules that specify what kind of books I can read, that just make it a bit more of a proper thing instead of let's just read 14 books. And yeah, so I've done this every February for the past 10 years, which makes me feel really old. But it's also crazy, I was like 10 years old and I was like, yeah, I can read 14 books this month. And I did. That's crazy. Over the years, it has also changed the number of books. I think one year I went down to 13, another year I went up to 15. It fluctuates, but this year we're keeping it 14, the original 14. And obviously so there are some rules because otherwise I could literally just read 14 like novellas and that's not really a challenge. So we have rules. Rule number 1, and this is the most recent one, I added it in last year, and that is no rereads. And basically I added this because I was like, I'm buying a lot of books, a lot more than I used to. I have a lot more unread books and so I'm only allowed to read new books. And then rule number 2, which is kind of like rule 1.5, is only physical TBR books. So I'm only allowed to read books that I already own. I cannot be like, ooh, I want to read this book, let's buy it. No. Obviously there will be like, if I read a series, then the next books will be on Kindle. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Rule number 2 is that it must include at least 2 different book series. So that can be a duology, a trilogy, or then more. Normally I don't go past 4 books because that's only 4 books out of 14 that are taken up. So normally it's really only up to a series of 4, but still. That way I can also get ahead on continuing series because there are also quite a few books where like I own the first book in the series and I haven't read it. And I've had like the first book in the series for a couple of years, so that is to help advance that. Rule number 3, and this is the oldest rule that I've had since I think like the 3rd year of doing this because I realized it was way too easy, and that is that each book has to be minimum 310 pages on Kindle. The way I do it is I don't necessarily look at my physical TBR and see like, okay, this is the last page. I go on the Kindle app and I search and see how many pages it says there. So technically I suppose it could be that like on Kindle it says 312 pages and then in the physical copy, because it's like a hardback or something, it's like only 309. That's why it's Kindle pages, whatever it says on the Kindle app. So there you have it. Those are the rules of February reading. That is the challenge that I have set for myself this month, that I set for myself every February, and honestly it's literally the highlight of me. Whenever December starts rolling around, I don't get excited for Christmas. I get excited because February is approaching. Like this is generally the highlight of my year. So anyway, I have this book which is my February reading book. I've had this book for 5 years now and I've been using it for February reading for, wait a second, how many years? Too many years. So yeah, I've had this book for about 5 years and I have been using it to track my February reading since 2022. So that's like 4 years now. But yeah, so in the first year I read 15 books and I did read them all. In 2023 I also read 15 books. In 2024 I also read 15 books. So actually yeah, for the past 4 years it's been 15 books, but this year we're taking it back down to 14 because I'm busy. I do not have time for 15 books. Last year I only did 13 books because obviously last year I had uni and everything, same as this year. And last year was the first year, and I was devastated. It was the first year I did not complete it. To be fair, that's because I had to get my foot operated on. I didn't have time, so I didn't read the last book. So I only read 12 out of those 13 books. But this year, we will complete it. We will read all 14 books, mark my words. So basically what I do every year. I'm going to show you part of my process, which is kind of very type A, but it's cool. This is round one. I write down every single book in my physical TBR. Then if it's the first book in the series, I write down also the next book in the series, and I write how many pages they are. So already something that you get eliminated because they just don't have enough pages. They do not qualify 310 pages. Then round two, I write leaving, and I get rid of the ones that I just don't want to read, because sometimes I do try and force myself always to read a book that I've been putting off during this month, but sometimes, I mean, there are some books I'm just not going to read, and when I'm reading so much I need to be motivated to read, otherwise it's really hard to get the numbers done, to get the books done. Then I split it into standalones and series, so every book that is a standalone and then every book that is a series, like logical. And then after that, that is when we finally narrow it down to normally like 16 or 17 books, and then once we get down to 16, 17 book, then we go to, and I haven't written out yet, we write it down all fancy with my nice multicolour pens, and we write down the 14 finalists. So obviously, as you can see, I haven't yet gotten to my 14 finalists, so I'm gonna do that now, and then I'm gonna get back to you. I'm actually so excited. So I have here the list of all 14 books that I'm going to be reading in February. First off, before we get into the books, just a few stats. So obviously there is 14 books, which means that like mathematically I have 2 days to read each book. Obviously there are some books that will take me like 1 day, some that will take me 3 days, that kind of thing. But if I was going to read each book in equal amount of time, it would be 2 days per book. Then the total page count of all of these books combined is 5,793 pages, which is a lot. And so then that means that like I'd need to read about 206 pages per day. Again, there'll be some days when I read a lot more, some days when I read a lot less, but that's like the average. I'm very pedantic like that, and I love averages and statistics and everything. Like obviously I do psychology, we do a lot of that, it's very interesting to me. There we go, there's some statistics, but anyway, I'm sure you guys don't care about that, that's just for me. What I'm sure you do care about is what books I'm going to be reading. This list is comprised of 2 duologies, 3 standalones, 1 trilogy, and then 1 series of 4. Anywho, just read them out in random order. So first off, we have Fable and Namesake by Adrian Young. I couldn't wait to read these, even if I did just get them, but I really want to read those. So let me read the blurb for Fable, because obviously this is the second book in duology, and we're going to read the blurb for the snappy spoilers. Welcome to a world made dangerous by the sea and by those who wish to profit from it, where a young girl must find her place and her family while trying to survive in a world built for men. As the daughter of the most powerful trader in the Narrows, the sea is the only home 17-year-old Fable has ever known. It's been 4 years since the night she watched her mother drown during an unforgiving storm. The next day, her father abandoned her on a legendary island filled with thieves and little food. To survive, she must keep to herself, learn to trust no one, and rely on the unique skills her mother taught her. The only thing that keeps her going is the goal of getting off the island, finding her father, and demanding her rightful place beside him and his crew. To do so, Fable enlists the help of a young trader named West to get her off the island and across the Narrows to her father. But her father's rivalries and the dangers of his trading enterprise have only multiplied since she last saw him, and Fable soon finds that West isn't who he seems. Together, they will have to survive more than the treacherous storms that haunt the Narrows if they're going to stay alive. That sounds so interesting. Like, what do you mean it's pirates? It's betrayal, it's the main guy, who I assume is the main love interest, isn't who he seems. That sounds so good. I absolutely cannot wait to get into this. I said in my last video, I love a niche, and pirates is a niche that I feel like we just don't talk about enough as a society. There aren't enough pirate themed books. I love anything pirate themed, I will devour it. Pirates of the Caribbean are some of my favourite movies of all time, despite, you know, Johnny Depp, we pretend he's not there, but I love Pirates of the Caribbean, and so I just know that I'm going to love this so much. Then after that, we have a standalone, and that is The Miseducation of Cameron Post by Emily M. Danforth. Yes, we are finally going to read it this month. I'm pretty sure it's been almost picked in a couple of my TBR videos now, but This is like, February is the 1 month of the year where I am so strict on my TBR. I do not let myself read anything outside of it, and I force myself to read every book on it. Every other month I'm kind of a bit flexible, but February, you read this and you read only this. Anyway, let me read the back. The night Cameron Post's parents died, her first emotion was relief. Relief they would never know that hours earlier she'd been kissing a girl. Now living with her conservative aunt in small-town Montana, hiding her sexuality and blending in becomes second nature to Cameron, until she begins an intense friendship with the beautiful Coley Taylor. Desperate to correct her niece, Cameron's aunt takes drastic action. Now Cameron must battle with the cost of being her true self, even if she's not entirely sure who that is. This does sound good. I do think I will enjoy this book. It's just there's always been a more interesting book to come out, which is why I put it on this TBR, so I would finally read it, because I do think it's a good book and I do think I will greatly enjoy it. Okay, after that we have our series of 4. And that is the Mirror Visitor series, I believe it's called. Yeah, the Mirror Visitor series. So I've had these books now for a few years. My aunt got them for me, my sisters, which is why I have all 4 of them. And I just haven't gotten around to reading them. And so I figured, what better time than now? That way it checks 4 books off my list and I finally get them down. So let me read the blurb of the first one. This is the first one. Let me read the blurb of the first one and we'll see what it's about. Lose yourself in the fantastic world of the arcs and in the company of unforgettable characters in this French runaway hit. A mix of awkward misfits and misunderstood genius, Ophelia cares little about appearances or other people's opinions of her. She possesses 2 special gifts, a talent for reading the pasts of objects and the ability to travel through mirrors. Her peaceful existence on Anima is interrupted when she is promised in marriage to the taciturn Thorn, a member of a powerful clan from a cold and distant arc. Basically, these books, they're originally written in French and they got translated in English because they did so well, and so they're actually like well known in maybe not in England, but like in English speaking countries. And so I feel I have to read it because like I live in France, so it would be rude to not read it. But it does seem interesting. I think it's just because it's a whole series that I just never got round to it, but it does seem really interesting and I do think I will enjoy it. Okay, next up we have another new purchase, but I figured since I waited so long to purchase this book, I'm gonna reward myself by not waiting too long to read it. And that is Girl Serpent Thorn by Melissa Bashadat. There was and there was not, as all stories begin, a princess cursed to be poisonous to the touch. But for Soraya, my friend's called Soraya. But for Soraya, who has lived her life hidden away from everyone apart from her family, safe only in her gardens, it's not just a story. As the day of her twin brother's wedding approaches, Soraya must decide if she's willing to step outside of the shadows for the first time. Below in the dungeon is a demon who holds the knowledge that she craves, the answer to her freedom. And above is a young man who isn't afraid of her, whose eyes linger not with fear, but with an understanding of who she is beneath the poison. Soraya thought she knew her place in the world, but when her choices lead to consequences she never imagined, she begins to question who she is and who she is becoming. Human or demon, princess or monster. That sounds so cool. I feel like stories when it's like the main character is obviously morally grey, but also just the main character is both the hero and the villain in a way. I think that's so fascinating, and so I just know that I'm going to absolutely devour this book. Next up we have our second duology, and that is A Fate Inked in Blood and A Curse Carved in Bone by Daniel L. Jensen. So I think, again, this is like Emily M. Davil. If I put this on my TBR, I'd just finally read it this month because it's been on my maybes for a couple months now and I just haven't picked it up. I do think I'll find this really good. I just need to move past like what I've seen people say about the second book, because people say good things about Quicksilver and I didn't like that, so I need to stop basing like what I think a book is going to be on what other people say a book is going to be. Let's read the back. Trapped in an unwanted marriage, Freya dreams of becoming a warrior and of putting an axe in her controlling husband's back. But those dreams become a nightmare when he makes a deal with their fanatical ruler and she's forced into a fight to the death. To survive, she must reveal her deepest secret. She possesses a drop of goddess's blood and magic that will unite their nation beneath the one who controls her fate. Believing he is destined to be king, the ruler binds Freya with a blood oath and orders his fierce but charming son to train her to fight, to control her magic, and to make sure no one lays a hand on her. But the greatest test of all may be resisting her forbidden attraction to the son of her enemy. This does sound good. I do think it'll be good, and apparently also the second one is set on the sea, so we're like kind of sticking, even though it's not pirates, it's still like nautical, so we're kind of sticking with that nautical theme throughout this month. I hope it's gonna be good, and it sounds good. So let's just go based off of what we know, which is the back, and the back sounds interesting. Then we're switching up the genres a bit. It's not a fantasy, and it's another standalone, and that is The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, and I absolutely love it. I actually read the Good Girl's Guide to Murder book in the February Reading Challenge 2 years ago, so in 2024, so I think it's also fitting to read another Holly Jackson book in this year's challenge. Anywho, let's read the back. 18-year-old Belle has lived her whole life in the shadow of her mum's mysterious disappearance. 16 years ago, Rachel Price vanished and young Belle was the only witness. Rachel is gone, presumed dead. The case is dragged up from the past when the Price family agrees to a true crime documentary. Belle can't wait for filming to end, for life to go back to normal. But then Rachel Price reappears, and life will never be normal again. Lights, camera, lies. That sounds really interesting. Like, what do you mean they're missing and then they just show up? What do you mean? What do you mean? That sounds really interesting. I'm going to devour this, and I think it'll be good also to have a kind of palette cleanser because I'm reading a lot of fantasy books, and so I think it'll be good to have something that's not the same genre to switch it up a bit, keep it fresh. And then the final 3 books that we'll be reading, they are part of a trilogy. I do own the first book, but I think it's my parents' house, so I need to pick that up before I get around to reading it, obviously. And that is Daughter of the Pirate King, Daughter of the Siren Queen, and Vengeance of the Pirate Queen. Technically the first book is my sister's, but she already read them, she enjoyed them, and I would like to read them. And clearly, like, I'm in a pirate mood at the moment because we've got 2 pirate series and one nautically themed book. I was feeling the pirates this year, clearly. Let's read the blurb. 17-year-old Alossa, daughter of the feared Pirate King, is on a mission. She must retrieve an ancient hidden map, the key to a legendary treasure trove. The catch? Alossa needs to conceal her considerable combat skills and allow herself to be captured by her enemies, giving her the perfect opportunity to search their ship. More than a match for the ruthless pirate crew, Alossa has only one thing standing between her and the map: her captor, the unexpectedly clever and unfairly attractive First Mate Raiden. But luckily, she has a few tricks up her sleeve, and no lone pirate can stop the daughter of the Pirate King. So this does seem interesting, and from the title of the second one, I'm gonna guess her dad is the Pirate King and her mum is the Siren Queen. The titles are slight spoilers there, but I also do love sirens. That's another subcategory that I think is underrated. So if you mix pirates and sirens, as like the 2 are often connected, they're both in the ocean, then I'm just going to devour it. There you have it. That is my list of books that I'm hoping to read in February as part of my February reading challenge. I actually am so excited for it to start. It is honestly like the highlight of my year. The feeling of achievement as well when I've read all 14 books is really, really cool, and it really, I sometimes feel like not sad necessarily, but kind of about the fact that I just can't read fast enough to read all the books that I want to read. And so the February reading challenge is also a way to like combat that, because I read a lot of books during February, so it's just a way to devour as many books as possible. And I don't really know where I'm going this. But anywho, I cannot wait to start reading them. Obviously, each week's video will be a little reading challenge this month. There won't be any sit-down talking ones. They will all be reading challenges that obviously involve me reading these books, both as a way to motivate me to read them, but also so you guys can see how I'm going with them, what I think of them, and also really I just enjoy a little reading challenge now and again. But anywho, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. If you have read any of the books I'm going to be reading and you enjoyed them or didn't enjoy them, please don't hesitate to let me know what you think. I would love to talk about them with you guys. We have come to the end, and so I must bid you adieu. Have an absolutely wonderful week, and I will see you on Friday for the next video. Bye!